Alright, so I just wanted to break this down a little bit. This is probably the trickiest part, getting the shims right, getting the timing right. So I just wanted to walk you through a little bit. It's valve time. That's right. It's time to go in and look at the valves. I've been hearing a little noise. I'm not sure if that's just the overall age of the bike. It just turned over 30,000 miles. All right, let's get started. Okay, so I'm gonna speed a lot of this up because I don't think I need to show you how to take off your boxes, your seat. I mean, hopefully you should be able to cover your plastics, your battery, all of that stuff. Should be pretty common. So what I did, I was gonna try to keep that on, but it ended up slipping off, and that's the breather tube that goes down into the valve cover. It has this little clamp here, which I'll probably get a hose clamp that I can attach myself, or maybe I'll buy one when I go get the shim. So this is full of oil, the oil tank. But I'm guessing this is the breather, so this probably shoots all the way up to the top, and so oil is not yet running down this passage, so I'm pretty happy with that. My valve cover is in there, so I can get to the bolts, and I just got a little creative with my bungees and let it kind of hang up here, because you know, I didn't want to disconnect these. I did an oil change not that long ago. My intention is to reuse the gasket, so I want to be nice and gentle. Boy, this throttle body's in the way. After struggling with the valve cover for a little bit, I'm going to remove these T25 tampers. Makes me a little nervous that they're tampers, but man, this bracket's in my way. Let's see about pulling these out. Let's see how easy these are. Nah, they're easy. I don't know what the big deal is. To check the adjustment itself, and you put it on the top dead center. That's with the lines over here on the cams, as well as then you remove a bolt down here at the bottom and put in another bolt to hold the crank, kind of like a timing bolt as they call it. I made my own last night. The bolt that you pull out, you use a 10mm socket. This is a bolt I had. This is a M820 with a grinder, a table grinder. I ground this down to a round little guy here. That's gonna help me get it in and then hold the crank in place. We're at top dead center. We got all the lobes up in the air. You can see that there. This side is the intake, obviously, because right here is your throttle body where the air and fuel comes in. And on this side is your exhaust. And those lobes are up in the air. Let me see if I can get that a little brighter. There we go, those lobes are up in the air. I thought I could do this with a tire, but I ended up taking out this plug. This is just a plastic plug right here. And then I put this, it's not a ratchet, it's just like a little breaker bar, but I like that because I could kind of go back and forth a little bit. So here I am on the motor. You see most of these guys are 8, and the guy all the way down here is a 10. And so that's where you pull out that bolt, and then you put in your own homemade bolt right into there. I was able to work that while reaching over and grabbing that bar. And then I come up here and I can see my lines. Oh man, this is hard to do here. Okay, so there's little lines. There's one right there. There's one right there. There's one in there. Trying to focus down there. Okay, so there we are. We're top dead center. Gonna look at the intakes. 3 to 11. 3 to 11. Oh yeah, the 8 slides right in. 10's tight. 10 does fit here. Yeah, there we go. Okay, the results are in for the intake. It's a very tight 10 back here. So it's probably closer to a 9, but the 10, it gets in there. It's a hard spot. So 3 to 11, that's good. That's coming in. I'm gonna call that 9. This one here, this 10 slides in. Could be maybe a little tighter, but the 13 will not go in there. So I'm gonna call that an 11. A lot of times this stuff is machined so precise and accurately. Everything is pretty tight. There's also a lot of sharp edges because it is machined so much. I don't have the tensioner out, so I'm not sure what this is gonna look like yet without the tensioner. Probably not that great, huh? That tensioner's not giving us any slack. I'm gonna have to go for that tensioner. So I just pulled the tensioner out. I was thinking about just letting this guy loosely in there, but it kind of popped out. And there's no way I can show you that. It's such a tight spot. And I could see right away this got a lot looser. Just trying to lift the bottom out. Okay. Come in. And we're out. Shim's right there. Look at that. That's the shim. That is different. I think that's the shim, right? Yeah. Yep, there's the shim. Right there. Alright, so I just want to break this down a little bit. This is probably the trickiest part, getting the shims right, getting the timing right. So I just wanted to walk you through a little bit. As you can see here, the bucket is on, here the bucket is off. The shim goes right here. You want the numbers of the shim facing up with the cool little center shiny thing facing down. So that looks something like this. You want this facing up, and you want that facing down. All right, so initially when I took my measurements and I did some math, I added and subtracted in the wrong direction. So had to go back, swap out the shims. Luckily BMW of Concord was cool. But let me just point to what's going on, okay? So here is your throttle body. So this of course would be your intake side. Okay, this guy here I measured out 0.10. And so what it needs to be is 0.03 to 0.11. So I measured 0.10. So I figure I'm in here, I might as well make it better. What I found was a 2.65. I pulled a 2.65 and I went up by 5, 2.7. So now instead of a 0.10, it's less because it has a bigger shim. I know it sounds really simple, but it's been 95 plus in my garage and I guess my brain was cooking. So what I'm expecting is a 0.05 now. This guy here was 0.11. The shim again was 2.65. The shim was 2.65 for all of them. So I'm gonna put a 2.7 in to get this to 0.06. So, you know, that ends up 0.05, 0.06, 05, 06. That's gonna be right in between 0.03 and 0.11. This is in millimeters, of course. Then over here on the exhaust side, the bucket is on. I measured this at 0.22. So this is 0.25 to 0.33. So 0.22. So I am too tight. The exhaust got tighter, the intake got looser. So how do we make it looser? Well, we've got to put in a smaller shim. So the shim found was 2.65. And what we're gonna go with is a 2.6 shim, 5 smaller, and that'll give us a 0.27 for this guy. 0.27, right in between 0.25 and 0.33. All right, and then this guy here, 0.16. So that is way lower than 0.25. You can only buy in 5 increments, at least from the dealership anyways. So it went from a 2.65, now it's gonna be a 2.5. And that's gonna give me a 0.31. So that sounds pretty nice. Also one thing, this is for the decompression. So this allows you to restart the bike under lower compression. So this has a centrifugal spin and it helps depress this as the bike is shutting off. I think this is the noise I've been hearing, this guy here. I don't know if there's something going on here and this spring is loose, or maybe the fact that this was so tight that could have been causing an issue with this. So it'll be interesting to see once I get this all back together and it works good. Now this is the second or third time I've had this apart. Let me tell you, you can do the zip ties, but the chain moves a little bit and you can't move it back. It becomes really annoying to hold the chain and hold those sprockets, get them up, get them down, and you have to lift the bucket, so they really have to come high. You got to get that lower bracket arm out of the way. So make some marks. I did with paint. I counted some links. I counted 6 links in between the paint. I'm just trying to mark as much as I can, and then you get it all back together, tighten these up to 10 Newton meters, and you're really gonna wanna spin this. I put the tensioner back in, not tight, just I snug it in, cause man, I don't know if I can even show you on camera how to get in there. It's fun, it's doable. So make sure your timing is good to go, because the first time the timing was off, but you know, I was rotating and measuring, and then I wasn't even getting the right valve adjusting out of it. Take your time. Measure twice, cut once. Right? That's the old saying. All right, hopefully that explains this. It's really not that hard. It's just technical. So if you're a technical person, you'll get it done. No problem. Some tight fitting areas, but what's not tight when you work on a car, a house, an airplane, whatever it might be. Back from the dealership. Got my shims, these guys right here. They are about $9 and change each. I got 4. So how do you measure them? You're gonna need some kind of caliper, whether it's like a digital. I've got this Starrett measuring caliper. It's pretty nice. This actually, I believe, was my grandfather's. and then it was my father's, and that was all in Pennsylvania, and it's since been mailed to me all the way out here in California. So this worked real good. It's actually the perfect size for the tappet or the shim. All right, let's get back to work. All right, let's see how it goes. I think I can tell it's idling better. Now that sounds like a German machine. And that click click noise, that just depressurized the exhaust. Didn't know that before, but now I do. Alright, well let me know if you got any questions. Subscribe, don't subscribe. I'll see you next time. Maybe I won't. Later.